Yes guys, it's something we all fear as our systems do get older. It's part of the aging process of a hair system. Today I'm going to go through with you my own hair system shedding review and offer you some solutions. Stay tuned to find out more. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, your go-to place for hair systems, advice, tutorials, reviews, discounts, you name it, we got it. Today I wanted to talk about shedding. This is a really big deal and I've never actually spoken about it, so it's high time that I did. Now, I'm not going to discuss polys today. I will not discuss polys because polys, they do shed, but they don't shed from the base. There's nothing that can come through on this end. So I'm going to talk about lace today, and I've got a lace with me. It's a 3-month-old lace, so it's got some good use out of it. But I'm just going to sort of go through with you the kind of shedding that's been happening and also some solutions as to how to delay the shedding, how to reduce the shedding, and so on and so forth. So let's get into it. So this, guys, is a French lace. It's about 3 months old. You can probably make out, I hope you can on the camera, that there are some hairs coming through the base. Guys, this is normal. This happens. We've got hair systems, they've got holes in the lace. It's always going to happen. So please do not worry if you have hair coming through the base. I'd be slightly concerned if you had hair coming through the base within the first month. That probably shouldn't be happening. But moving into month 2, moving into month 3, and so on and so forth, your hair will progressively shed more. That's because the knots within the base that the hair is connected to, they just naturally come loose over time. That's just what happens. Now, the first item I'm going to show you is something that I use whenever I wear lace, and it is called Walker Tape Top Lock Knot Sealer. I'm not sponsored by Walker Tape. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, but I do like their products. I think there is True Tape do their own knot sealer. I haven't tried it, so I can't talk about that, but I can discuss this one. Now, this basically, you literally just spray it onto the base. It's quite a funny solution. It's quite thick. So what you've got is a sort of pump with a sort of spray head, but it doesn't come out like a spray. It is quite thick. It kind of just comes out as a bit of a gloopy liquid. So if you're using it and you see that, don't worry. That's just how the liquid is formulated. And please just apply sparingly. If you apply too much of this, and I did it on my first system, I applied it way too liberally, and my system, the base just went really rigid and it felt horrific on my head. So please make sure that you use this sparingly. You also want to make sure with this that when you do apply it, you want to spray it and then sort of just rub it into the lace. That's how it gets the best possible coverage, and you can still use it very sparingly. So don't go overkill on the spray. Just make sure that when you do spray it in, you're just rubbing it into the base. Not hard, just very gently, and that will ensure that those knots within the base are more securely fastened. Another thing that you can do to sort of minimize the shedding, and this is pretty obvious, is basically when you see shedding, and yes, there is a hole in this system. Yes, I did tear it a couple of weeks ago. Yes, I'm an idiot and I need to get some tape. I think it's called base tape, Walker Tape. But actually, I should probably do another video about that at some point. But basically, if you do get a tear, and we've all been there, Walker base tape is really good. It's a one-sided tape, and it basically, so it doesn't glue to your head, but it basically sort of closes up those tears that you might have. So definitely worth considering. I will do a video on that at some point. Back to the topic at hand, which is basically shedding. So with shedding, you can literally just pull the hairs through, as long as they're not too sort of hard wired in, as it were, because otherwise you'll be pulling too hard. You might actually tear the lace. Don't want to do that. But if it's sort of pullable from this side, just like this one, for instance. Actually, that one's in quite hard, so I'm going to leave that one. But there are other ones where you can literally just, like this one, you can just pull it out. Okay, that's the easiest thing. Some people go at it with scissors. I don't recommend using scissors when it comes to this because, and this is going to sound incredibly obvious, you might cut the base and then you've got a tear, and a completely unnecessary tear. So I wouldn't recommend using scissors when basically pulling out hairs that have already come through the base. Another thing if you use scissors is basically when you kind of cut quite close to the base, the hairs that you do cut, they become incredibly short, and those can cause friction against your bio hair that's coming through, and that in itself can actually create itchiness. I've had this multiple times. It's really uncomfortable, it's really itchy, and it just makes you want to pull this rug off. Okay, so again, that's something which works against the concept of using scissors. One last thing, and I said this in my previous video, so you may want to check that out if you want to learn more about this, but shampoo doesn't need to be applied multiple times a week. It doesn't even need to be applied once a week. The problem with shampoo, other than the obvious things that it's got sulfates and it can sort of lighten the system, is basically that when you use shampoo, you are loosening those knots in the lace base. You are loosening them. It makes the hair system more likely to shed more quickly. So I use shampoo about once a fortnight. You don't need to use it any more than that. Conditioner, I probably use about once a week. I wouldn't use more than that. The key for me is basically using argan oil to make sure that the hair is basically nourished and it sort of keeps it pretty supple and soft. But please don't bother doing a shampoo once every 2 weeks. I actually heard or saw another YouTube video where there was a guy who is a hair system stylist. He doesn't recommend his customers use shampoo at all because he's like, it lightens the hair, it loosens the knots in the base, and he just really doesn't recommend it. So it's up to you, but as I said, I wouldn't do it more than once every 2 weeks. So that's it for today, guys. In summary, basically, number one, get yourself a knot sealer. Walker do a great one. Number two, if you do see hair coming through the base, feel free to just pull out those through the base, so through this end. Just pull them out as long as they're not too tightly sort of knotted, as it were, to the base itself. And number three, don't go overkill on the shampoo because that can loosen the knots too. If you're liking my content, guys, please do subscribe, whack that like button, join the community. It's getting bigger and bigger by the day and I want you to be part of it. I'll speak to you next time, guys.